Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you from wherever in the world you are joining us from today. I'm Eleanor Williams, and Connected Places Catapult welcomes you to this webinar on understanding the electric vehicle and micromobility landscape in Chennai and Kolkata. This webinar is part of an ongoing project focused on unlocking the value chain of micromobility and EVs in India. Driving collaboration and partnership between the UK and Indian innovators and academic communities is at the heart of Connected Places Catapult's focus on India. And we're not alone here. Our colleagues across the Innovate UK Catapult network and Innovate UK itself consider India to be an important partner for the UK in unlocking technology and innovation to provide solutions to some of the world's most pressing challenges. Today, we will learn specifically about the EV and micromobility landscapes in Chennai and Kolkata from our esteemed experts. Next slide, please. Our guests include Ms. Shruti Kumari from FameTN, which is the MSME Trade and Investment Bureau of the state of Tamil Nadu, and Professor Arkapal Goswami from IIT Kharagpur. And for those of you who are not familiar with IIT Kharagpur, it is part of the Institute of Technology India, one of India's top universities. So let's get underway. And I'm now going to hand over to my colleague, Abhinav Saxena, who is your host for today's event. Next slide, please.
Hello, hello and namaste to everyone. A bit of introduction about myself. I think camera is not. Let me just switch it. And something's not working. Let me just. Yeah. I think. Hello and namaste to everyone. A bit of introduction about myself. I'm Abhinav Saxena, a systems engineer at Connected Places Catapult. I have received my master's from Aston University, Birmingham, and I've previously worked for more than 5 years with a tier one automotive ancillary supplier in India, especially in the domain of safety. Today, I'm very delighted to guide us through today's session about the EV and micromobility landscape, two major Indian cities. Next slide, please. Now, before we jump to cities, let me briefly introduce Connected Places Catapult. So we are the UK's innovation accelerator for transport, built environment, cities, and local growth. Our network brings together 9 leading technology and innovation centers across 40 locations in the UK. We are independent and not for profit organization. We work with businesses, knowledge partners, public bodies to bridge the gap between discovery and market adoption, and to scale these innovations to communities, towns, and our cities across the country. I can proudly say that till date, Connected Places Catapult, along with other catapults, have supported the journey of more than 8,000 SMEs with funding opportunities, business coaching, network building, and more. Next slide, please. So Ellen has already given a small introduction about the project, but let me try it again. So today's session is part of a project called the Unlocking the Value Chain of EVs and Micromobility in India. This project is built upon research done in past years, and our goal through this project is to foster mutually beneficial relationships between UK SMEs and Indian stakeholders in the EV and micromobility sectors. Through this project, we envision accelerating India's journey towards net zero through cutting edge solutions from UK innovators developed in collaboration with leaders of Indian ecosystem. Here, we work very closely with stakeholders from both countries and strive to achieve an outcome that is mutually beneficial to all parties. Uh, some of the partners are mentioned at the bottom, which you can see is the Innovate UK, as Elena has already previously mentioned, and there's Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office of India and the Global Business Inroads. Next slide, please. Now, let's begin with our first presentation on Chennai's EV landscape. I am pleased to introduce Ms. Shruti Kumari, who is working with FAME TN. Uh, I'll pass it to Shruti now. Next.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shruti Kumari, and today I'll be presenting this webinar on behalf of Mr. Abhimanyu Singh. So, let's start. Next slide, ma'am. So, today I would be introducing you all with the TNEV task force, its goals and objectives, and I would also introduce you all with the TNEV industries and its key areas identified to be worked upon. Next slide. Next. So, TNEV task force, that is Tamil Nadu EV task force. So, basically, it is a government initiative which aimed at promoting electric vehicle adoption and infrastructure development in the state. And it has several organizations working under it, like Guidance TN, Fame TN, Startup TN, and many more. And all of these organizations have a very different roles and jobs. For example, Guidance TN. So it promotes investments in the electric vehicle sectors and also facilitates the partnerships with local and international EV manufacturers. Likewise, Fame TN, so it implements the subsidies and incentives for electric vehicles buyers and focuses on the establishment of charging infra across the state. So likewise, different organizations has a very different role, and all of these organizations work together towards a common goal and objective, which is to accelerate the Tamil Nadu's EV industry by achieving a 30x increase in EV component sourcing and reducing imports from 80% to less than 20% and positioning the state as the world's largest EV manufacturer and exporter. So, this was about our objectives. Next slide, ma'am. So, the goals of the TNEV task force. So, we aim to build a compelling EV ecosystem in the Tamil Nadu with MSMEs at the core, supported by the strong policies, resources, infrastructure, and workforce. And we believe that this will drive investments and increase e vehicle production from USD 25 billion to 40 billion, and ramp up production from 25% to 150% of the state's capacity. Our goals includes establishing 3 common facility centers, launching 6 new products, and currently we are working in Hosur region. There we are establishing center of excellence. So the work is in progress, and with that we have also hosted 12 OEM and buyer seller events. We also aim to increase local sourcing from 20% to 40%, and this will be achieved by strengthening partnerships with government, industries, and academia. We have also linked local players with global buyers. So, this is all about our goals. Next slide, ma'am. Focus areas, activities, and approaches. So, business facilitations. So, for this, we have met with 50 plus EV companies, that is both large and MSMEs. Uh, and recently, we have hosted a B2B meet in Coimbatore with 9 OEMs like Ola Electric, Ather, and other 25 plus MSME. With that, we have 11 more B2B meets planned in Chennai and Coimbatore, focusing on connecting OEMs with Tier 1 and Tier 2 suppliers and facilitating joint ventures and tech transfer. On skilling, we have conducted 40 plus awareness sessions in Coimbatore with over 150 participants, and we have also developed an EV skilling framework and 2 industry roundtables to assess skill needs. We are also reviewing the engineering curriculums for the EVs with OEMs for possible inclusions. Then, for ecosystem development, we have formed the Coimbatore EV clusters, which is anchored by Caudacia. So, Caudacia is basically an industrial association which is based in Coimbatore itself, and it plays a very significant role in promoting industrial development. And WRI, so it is a NGO basically which focuses on sustainable development. So we are working with them, and other than that, we are also working on Chennai and Hosur clusters with industry partners like CII, ACMA, and many other MSMEs. So these are the different companies and industries with which we are working with. And on policy and advocacy, we are reviewing the implementation of the Tamil Nadu EV policy and organizing policy roundtables on topics like recycling, L3 vehicles, charging infra, and trucking. For production and infra, we are developing industrial estates with SIPCOT and SITCO. Both of these, no, SIPCOT and SITCO, these are the 2 organizations that come under the TNEV task force, as I mentioned earlier, that it has n number of organizations working under it. So these 2 are the part of it. So they are offering plug and play production facilities, logistics centers, service centers, and charging infra. Additionally, Coimbatore's Motor and Power Electronic Test Lab is underway, and we are also planning for labs for batteries and vehicles. Alongside, we also have 5 research parks, including the TNEV engine in Coimbatore. So, yes, that was all about the development infra. Next slide, ma'am. TN automobile industry, that is the need for higher value add. So, we believe that Tamil Nadu is the leader in advanced manufacturing infrastructure and export facilities, as it produces about 35% of India's automobile and components with advanced manufacturing and export facilities. And also, it has the largest educated workforce, that is about 50%, and a strong tech and R&D ecosystems that is hosting 35 of India's top 100 institutions. Next slide, ma'am. So this is a complete graphical representation between different countries and vehicle per thousand people. So according to this graph, we can main three major bullet points are mentioned here. The very first is India's vehicle that is mostly two wheelers. Like currently in Tamil Nadu also we are majorly focusing on two wheelers. So in 2020 we had the value of about 59 per thousand people, and yes, this is very less. So there is a need to grow. And for car ownership per thousand people in 2018, India was with 22, China 160, Japan 590, EU 560, UK 850, and US was with the highest, that is 890. So, with the growing infrastructure and economy, India's car ownership is also set to grow rapidly. Next slide, ma'am. Benefits of EVs to users, that is for two wheelers. So there are n numbers of advantages and benefits that EV provides to the customers or users, and some of them are listed here. Likewise, it is very cost effective, it has better performance, it is highly sustainable, and it's very smart. And how can I say that? Just because it has 12x lower cost of fuel. Also, it has 90% fewer moving parts, which means it's highly reliable. And also, it is 50% cheaper to maintain. It is very fast charging, also. It has like for about 1 kilometer per minute. Also, it has torque from 0 kilometer, that is 100%, 7x less heat generated, 3x less emissions, and these are all about its benefits. Next slide, ma'am. Key needs identified through roundtables, awareness, or engagement sessions. So, we focus on energy efficient vehicle design, software driven system, and key components like motors, batteries, and electronics. And we believe in investing in high density cell, smart BMS, fast chargers, and critical raw materials. Emphasize battery repurposing, recycling, and sustainable technologies for testing and purposes. So, this was all about the key needs. Next slide, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your precious time.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you for that comprehensive overview of Chennai.
Thank you.
Now I will moving to our next city. I would like to introduce Dr. Arkopal Goswami. Dr. Arkopal, as Alin has previously mentioned, that he's from IIT Kharagpur, and IIT Kharagpur is one of the prestigious institutes of India. And so does Mr. Arkopal has a very long list of achievements. And let's just mention out some of the few. He's currently an associate professor and a chairperson in the Ranveer and Chitragupta School of Infrastructure Design and Management at IIT Kharagpur. He has received his PhD from University of Virginia in civil engineering and has more than 17 years of experience in the field of urban mobility planning and travel behavior. He has collaborated with researchers along the globe, including Germany, UK, Colombia, USA. He is also a member of Indian Road Congress Committee on Urban Roads and also an executive committee board member of the Transportation Research Group in India. He has also previously served on Transportation Research Board Committee, Roadside Maintenance Operations. He also mentors the multimodal urban sustainable transportation must laboratory at IIT Kharagpur and has also been conferred with the Faculty Excellence Award of 2022 by IIT Kharagpur. Now, I'll pass it to Dr. Arkabal for a comprehensive overview of the city.
Thank you, Abhinav, for your introduction, gracious introduction, and welcome to everyone who is on the webinar. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Moving on from Chennai, I will be taking you to the eastern part of India and giving you an overview of the city of Kolkata and its transportation network. Next slide, please. So, as mentioned in the brief introduction, I'm at IIT Kharagpur, which is the Indian Institute of Technology. We are the first Indian Institute of Technology to be set up back in 1951. And currently, we are the largest in the system of IITs that are there in India. And as you can see, we specialize in various disciplines and have now sort of branched off from not only being an engineering institute, but also management, law, and are now going to get into medical studies as well. So we are very excited about it. And recently, the government has declared us as one of the institutes of eminence. So I've been with IIT for the last 10 years, prior to which I was in the US doing mobility planning, mobility infrastructure design, and mobility engineering. So most of my work is in the area of urban mobility studies. Next slide, please. So today I'll be giving you, the city profile about telling you about Kolkata's mobility, how Kolkata has grown over the years, what are its current transportation characteristics and challenges and opportunities, and also giving you some insights about the multimodal nature of Kolkata, and obviously touching on the two aspects of the webinar, which is electric vehicles and micromobility. Next slide, please. Okay, so Kolkata, you may be all familiar with. It's one of the oldest cities in India and was the capital prior to New Delhi. So it has a lot of old infrastructure associated with it, and so is the transport infrastructure as well. The amount of roads is very less when compared to other big cities. We have a good, robust public transportation system with the metro rail, with the first metro rail line coming in India was set up in Kolkata back in the 80s. We had a very good tram network, but that has slowly faded away, and now we have only a skeleton of that. So as you can see, a comprehensive mobility plan, which was done back in 2004, projects the public transportation volume to be pretty high, and buses carry a majority of the people within Kolkata, along with the suburban rail system that is out there, whereas metro rail, which is the underground, if you can compare that to London in the UK, that carries only a little part or a minority of the passengers because the network is not built up. Next slide, please. You would see that as is in India, Kolkata also has a lot of young population associated with it. Most of it is in the, most of them are working in the government sector. However, there are a lot of them who are also, non-workers, and there is the scope there, which then can lead to more mobility on the roads. The demand can increase as well. When you see the registered number of motor vehicles, this is the story of India as well, not just Kolkata, but you will see there's always a growth in the number of two-wheelers and four-wheelers, whereas the growth is not that robust when it comes to public transportation, buses or metro rail per se. Next slide, please. Emissions is a growing problem in most of the major cities across India, and so is in Kolkata. Despite most of the city being on the banks of the river Ganga or river Hooghly, but we do see pollution at its peak, especially during the winter times, which is now. And this graph tells you that over the last 10 years, carbon dioxide emissions, for example, is steadily increasing, and hence, electric vehicle can provide one relief, part relief to this problem. Highway accidents or road accidents is another major issue in most parts of India, where vulnerable pedestrians and two-wheeler riders are affected, and our issue is also coupled more when we see the data and we find out that it's not just the crashes or the accidents, but the deaths related to them are also higher in this part of the country. Next slide, please. Kolkata overall also has other modes of transportation. So we have a port that is well connected with the national highway system. We also have the airport, which is a gateway to the northeastern states of India, and also to many of the Southeast Asian countries as well. So there's a steady inflow of or steady movement of passengers and goods from both the ports and the airport. Next slide, please. Some of the studies that we have done in collaboration with the Ola Mobility Institute, that is another non-profit organization. Ola is the counterpart of Uber, if you may call them so, in India. So they run similar type of services, and this is their research wing. So IIT Kharagpur did some work with them, and we developed something called an ease of moving index, which shows that how how people feel that they are able to move in Kolkata when it comes to active mobility as well as shared mobility. So active meaning walking and bicycling, and shared meaning all the shared modes of transport. So you will see that people do use a lot of public transport, and they say that the ease of usage of public transport is the highest. So that tells you that public transportation is very well in India, very nicely integrated in Kolkata. And by the way, we also have the largest number of buses per 1 lakh population, and also our bicycle ownership is pretty good. Next slide, please. Moving on to the same index, if we see, if we compare how people's perception is changing over the years, so we see here that people in 2018, what they felt about, say for example, concerns about electric vehicle. In 2018, the expense was one of the most largest concern. 22% people were concerned about how expensive EVs were. But in 2022, only 6% of people are concerned about how expensive EVs are. So that's a positive direction in which EV ownership is moving. Even in case of public transportation, you see the opinions pretty much stable at 74%, which tells that public transportation is holding its own over the years. Next slide, please. Some of the recent sales figures in electric vehicle sector is also encouraging in Kolkata. The latest in the first 6 months last year, early last year, so 2024, it is for the first time that the battery electric vehicles sale outnumbered the diesel vehicle sales in Kolkata. So that was the first time it has happened. So we hope that this trend continues, and we are able to steadily move towards electrification of the mobility sector. Next slide, please. as far as demand is concerned, long-term demand is concerned, Kolkata is just second to New Delhi when it comes to electric vehicle demand. Two-wheelers obviously are more in demand or will be more in demand than four-wheelers. Also, users who are likely to purchase electric two-wheelers earlier. So early adoption, the study says that how can you attract people to adopt electric vehicles, and it shows that range is one of the range anxiety is one of the still issues that remains with the users. So presence of or availability of charging stations is something that has to be taken care of. And there's a policy of scrapping old vehicles, which may further encourage the use of electric vehicles. So that policy may be helpful. Every state, by the way, has its own electric vehicle policy. So West Bengal also has its own policy, which says that, by the year 2026, 10 lakh vehicles, 10 lakh EVs should be sold, 1 lakh charging stations should be put up, and the EV to charging point ratio should be 8:1. So there are these targets. Every state has set up these targets, and this is for the state of West Bengal. Next slide, please. Looking at the from buses moving on to metro rail, we are expanding our metro rail system. Like I said, the first line was set up in Kolkata way back in the 80s. We are now expanding longitudinally as the city is geographically more longitudinal than wide. So this is what our completely built out electric vehicle or metro network will look like. And what that gives us an opportunity is to develop good micromobility solutions for the last mile to each of these metro rail stations. Currently, there is the most popular way to get to these metro rail stations are by something called an electric auto rickshaw. They're called TOTO, T-O-T-O, colloquially called that. So those are, but they're not regulated or anything, so they are kind of don't follow any pattern. So there is an opportunity there that in the micromobility field where we can improve access to the metro rail network stations eventually. Next slide, please. We also have to look at the pedestrian mobility infrastructure around the metro rail stations. Study after study keeps telling us that not very many people are impressed by the pedestrian footpath network or the pavement network that is there out there in Kolkata. So that is something we have to look at. We also have the traditional cycle rickshaws that are out there, which are also slowly being electrified, which may not be the best thing, but many argue that manual labor should be replaced by battery-powered cycle rickshaws. So that is something that also can be in the realm of micromobility. Next slide, please. Finally, transit-oriented development. Government of India has policies regarding transit-oriented development around metro rail stations, and many upcoming metro rail stations have these provisions in Kolkata as well. Again, giving opportunity to the micromobility sector to set up, EV charging stations in the residential areas closer to the metro rail station, so that public bicycle sharing system, for example, can be used to access most of the land users in and around the station. Next slide, please. We just have one or two more slides. Ride-hailing services are also very popular in most of the metropolitan cities in India, like Ola Uber services. Again, they are also expanding to two-wheelers. So electrification of those are also something that we have to look at. There are, newer companies that are mushrooming that only have an electric vehicle fleet. So what is their business model, etc., or coming up with a newer business model to electrify existing fleet, which is a petrol or diesel fleet, also has to be looked into. Next slide, please. And finally, e-commerce and Q-commerce. Many of the stores are being, set up around Kolkata, which require, 10-minute delivery, or they promise 10-minute delivery, 5-minute delivery. So urban freight also has a large opportunity to be electrified. With that, I think next slide, please. I will stop there and look forward to engaging with you in this webinar and in the future. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you to both our speakers for their insightful presentation. I think those are two both of them have told about very critical aspects of the city. And let me highlight some key takeaways from both of the cities. So from Chennai, we have seen the ambitious goals of Tamil Nadu EV Task Force, aiming for a 30x increase in EV component sourcing. They focus on reducing imports from 80% to less than 20%. Comprehensive ecosystem development, which Shruti has very clearly told about, that the development is going through skilling initiatives, policy advocacy, and infrastructure development. From Kolkata, we have observed we've all seen from the stats, the cities leading in public transport and active mobility. They have the highest bicycle ownership rate in India, the most successful integration of multiple transport modes, and their recent milestone of EV sales clearly surpassing the diesel vehicles, which is not a very prominent thing that we see in our daily life. So I think both of these cities are delivering great insights, and they're taking very different yet complementary approaches to EV adoption and sustainable mobility. Now let's open the floor for our panel discussion. And I can see some questions in the Q&A from audience, but before we dive into them, I would like to ask one of my questions to our speakers. My first question would be to Dr. R. Gopal. Professor, Kolkata, like I also mentioned, that Kolkata has shown impressive statistics in public transport usage. So how can we use this existing strength of having a very strong public transportation to increase the EV adoption within Kolkata?
Yeah, thank you for that question, and that is definitely a avenue where the city is looking to grow at. Apart from the buses, electric buses is something that even Kolkata is investing in. But along with the buses, we are also looking at the waterways. And as recently as yesterday, I believe, we inaugurated one of the first electric ferry boats in Kolkata, which is purely electric, to ferry people across from Kolkata to Howrah, which is the twin city almost, if you can call it that, across the river Hooghly. So we are looking at multiple modes, how they can be electrified. Many of our buses are old, so there is a push to electrify the buses. One of the challenges as in all the cities is to manage the size of the bus because of the street network being very tight. So that is one thing that Kolkata is also looking at. Other than that, public bicycle sharing system, which with electric bikes in them, has been piloted in one of the newer neighborhoods in Kolkata, and was pretty well received. So that has to be tried in most of the other parts of Kolkata as well. So these are some of the points where public transportation can be electrified in Kolkata.
Yeah, okay, that's easy. My next question would be to Shruti. Shruti, we have seen how Chennai has a very developing EV manufacturing ecosystem. What lessons can other cities take from develop a similar infrastructure for EV manufacturing?
So yes, sir. So for this, as I mentioned earlier, that we are establishing different center of excellence and many CFCs also. So yes, that is something which is different from other states, and I also believe that other states, if possible, they can adopt this particular lesson. So this would be helpful.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I can see many of the questions are coming for Professor Arkopal. Uh, Another question, Professor, is someone has asked that they've recently noticed concerns on charging infrastructure has increased. Is it purely because of the penetration and increased adoption of EVs in the last 4 years, which was still in infancy in 2018?
Yes, yes, that is definitely the case. Two-wheeler ownership, two-wheeler electric vehicle ownership has increased tremendously as opposed to four-wheelers, and many of our building bylaws are also, I mean, also do not allow for electric vehicle charging at our residences. So, not even getting into public charging infrastructure, even private charging infrastructure is an issue which has to be solved. These bylaws, building bylaws, are being looked at as to how they can be provided. Public charging infrastructure definitely is being targeted. The locations, the existing petrol pumps are some of the more common locations where these are being located, but also large office complexes are also being targeted for, and malls are also being targeted for such public charging infrastructure. But yes, that is true. 2018, we were very, very slow in adoption, and 2020 as 2022, after the COVID break, I think there has been a big big leap in EV penetration. So charging is now becoming a primary issue.
Thank you. Another question is it's regarding the affordability, and somebody has asked that average earning in India per person is around 5 lakhs, and a two-wheeler EV cost around on road is around 1.5 lakhs. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, the affordability of electric two-wheelers, I would say, is almost at par with regular two-wheelers. So it was very expensive, a little bit expensive in the past, but now I think it is almost stabilized at the same range. So that is not. I don't see that to be a major issue, and now or even within a year or so, it won't be an issue. But the issue is once you own it, there may not be enough places for you to maintain them. The regular vehicles, we have workshops almost in every street corner, where if something goes wrong, the person can fix it for a minimal price. But I think maintenance moving forward of these vehicles, if they have to be taken to the dealership to get it maintained and kept up with, that would cause some concern. So rather than upfront cost, I think it's the maintenance cost and the availability of maintenance shops is something that we need to be looking at.
Yeah. But continuing on the same question, how do we see, or what steps we can take to support this new second industry of maintenance and repair for EVs?
I think one of the steps that are being taken is to skill the people with these maintenance activities. So I see a lot of skill institutes having specialized courses in electric vehicles, teaching them about the different mechanical aspects of the vehicle, electromechanical aspects of the vehicle, and making them ready for such jobs. So skilling will be something that will be required, and also, possibly some hand holding with the dealership who are selling vehicles, maybe longer maintenance period, longer warranty period, or something like that could help,
Thank you. Thank you. I think the next question is goes to both parties, to Shruti and Akbar. And I'll start with Ms. Shruti. The person is asking that with increased adoption of EV across both Kolkata and Chennai, battery cells are a critical component. Is there any new gigafactories planned in any of the cities? Start with Shruti.
So, like, there is no, like, I don't have a exact data for that, whether they are planning any new factory or something, but as if I know that they are planning they are using a different technology in the battery itself. So they are working on that, and for that they are planning to assemble each and everything in India in Tamil Nadu itself. So yes, they are working in advanced technology for battery.
Yeah.
For
So
factory, I'm not very sure about that. So I'll take that after.
yeah, understood. Might not be a gigafactory, but it's a local sourcing and local manufacturing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of that.
I'll ask the same question to Dr. Akpal also.
I think I echo the answer as well. I think Tamil Nadu is leading in the when it comes to some of these manufacturing parts. West Bengal does not have enough land space to set up large manufacturing plants. We can set up smaller plants that can cater to assembly and all of that, I believe. But I don't have. I also don't have the exact data of if the factories are being set up or not. So I can get back to you on that. Thanks.
Sure, sure. There's one more question regarding Kolkata. So, Professor, the person is asking that looking at the present status on the infrastructure in charging e-vehicles, both inside and outside city, it is difficult to get them charged during low run. How Kolkata is looking into it to mitigate the issue?
What I would say is, if you look at the driving patterns in most of the urban areas in India, our trip distances are very short. We are pretty compact cities where average trip distances are maybe within 5 kilometers. So in a day, you wouldn't see many people drive beyond 5 kilometers for their day-to-day work. So long the point comes only when if you take the vehicle for an intercity ride, that's when the long distance comes into play. But for everyday trips, we for one study had interviewed the taxi drivers, for example. How often do you have to charge for the electric taxis? And they would say that in one charge a day, they would be able to make enough to earn that enough daily earnings would be good enough. So they would say that they would charge it overnight, and then during off-peak times in the afternoon, they would charge it once, and that should cover for the entire day's travel. So I wouldn't worry so much about the inner city travel. Yes, when it comes to travel between the cities, that's where we should be looking at more public charging stations. But keep in mind, in India, intercity travel is still mostly done by either train or buses. Personal vehicle intercity travel is not that high as in the UK or the US possibly.
Yeah, yeah. So there's another question, and it again goes to both panelists. So have you seen any good international examples of how cities are tackling the charging infrastructure? To Shruti or Arkaval?
Yeah. Yes, I mean, all cities are grappling with the issue. One of the things, obviously, that is being looked at for the four-wheeler segment is your battery swapping. People are trying that. I think MG Hector came up with, a policy of selling the vehicle without, so it's battery as a service. Say, for example, so you're not including the price of the battery in the cost of the vehicle. You're saying that you will be paying as you use it. So the battery as a service is something many cities or many countries are looking at. Charging, also there's some growing talk and concern about the grid and how if we end up charging at the same time, everybody end up charging at the same time, whether the grid will be able to take it or not. So that is one of the concerns that is being looked at. So when we consider charging, we may have to come up with variable pricing for these charging areas. So some of the cities are international cities are looking, not, I haven't seen anything in India yet, but some of the other cities are looking at variable pricing for different times of the day charging. So some of these things come to mind, but everybody seems to be looking at how to improve the charging infrastructure.
Yeah. Shruti, would you have an answer for that? Cities you have seen?
Yes, sir. Sir, as Arko sir mentioned about swapping technology, so like that particular technology too we does not have in Tamil Nadu right now. But what we are doing, we are trying for plug and play facilities in Tamil Nadu itself. And I personally don't have a very much like knowledge about international trips and also.
That's all right. So I'll jump to my last question, and this one is about the project. So I'll ask Elena to take this question. And question basically is asking for UK SMEs interested in exploring these opportunities, what are the immediate next steps they can take to engage with this program and connect with potential Indian partners?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. With this particular project, we are working with a cohort of UK SMEs, and the call for that went out last year. So at this point in time, we're not accepting any more UK SMEs into this particular project, but we are working with our partners in India, but also with our colleagues across the Catapult network and with Innovate UK to ensure that we have some future projects within this space that will enable us to create more opportunities for UK SMEs to explore the Indian market. I would encourage anybody who is interested to keep an eye on obviously Connected Places Catapult's website and LinkedIn profile, but similarly Innovate UK, because they are often publishing opportunities to explore the market. Similarly with the UK's Department for Business and Trade, and entities like British Expertise International, who are also frequently taking cohorts of UK companies out to explore the market on market visits. And we've participated in some of these as well, and we tend to partner with those organisations for our own programme of work. So I would encourage signing up to all of those information services so that you actually are alerted in real time to the opportunities as they arise. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. I think that's like, share, and subscribe for everyone to
that's right.
get Catapult network.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. The time is almost up for the Q&A. And so thank you for all the engaging questions and answers. Thank you to our panels. Thank you to our speakers. And I'll hand over to Elena for the closing remarks and the launch of our research paper. Elena, please take the stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you to our guests for really, shedding light on, a lot of what we've been learning about Kolkata and Chennai over the course of the last year. I think one of the things that for me, I always find really illuminating is actually the scale of activity that's happening within institutions in those cities. So, we heard a lot from Fame TN, and we saw their 5 international joint ventures and supply chain. We saw that very long list of activities and also areas for exploration, which means actually that those are opportunities for certainly for programs like ours and projects like ours and kind of UK companies and international partners to get involved in, because we are all working and grappling and tackling the same challenges together in real time. And so the opportunity to kind of share and learn and collaborate, is there. And I think that's evident from the conversations that we've had this morning. And so I would really encourage anybody on this call who's interested to, as we said, like, share, sign up and learn more about what's happening. We are very fortunate to be launching our research paper today. Please scan the QR code, take a photograph of it, do what you need to do to capture that so that you can download the report. Next slide, please. And I'll just give a couple of quick highlights on this report, which is about opportunities for UK SMEs in the Indian 2- and 3-wheel EV micromobility market. And just some of the highlights really around, again, scale. So the EV market predicted to reach £4.8 billion by, well, this year. We are in 2025 now, and that's a huge market. And I think what we've also learned from the call today, but also evident in this report, is around the galvanizing of government support, particularly at the state level, creating policies and incentives to drive these sectors and to drive collaboration in these sectors, and to kind of open up that collaboration to international innovators and academic institutions and research partners, as I said, to kind of co-design, co-deliver and come up with the solutions that we are all working towards. So hopefully this report will give you, and I can see colleagues will be sharing the report as well on social media, so we'll be able to, and we'd love for you to engage. So once you've read it, please share your comments with us. That's really important. Just in the last few minutes, I just want to say a few words of thank you. So obviously, thank you very much to our speakers today from Fame TN and from IIT Kharagpur. But I would also like to say thank you to our partners in this work, so Harsha Lingam and Debayan Bose from Global Business Inroads. I'd also like to say thank you to staff at the Deputy High Commissions in both Kolkata, so Haimanti Podar in particular, and also Sam Kumar at the Deputy High Commission, British High Commission in Chennai, for their support and their assistance on this project. And also to all of the ministries that we have visited in both cities and both states, to the universities, to the businesses who have been really welcoming and encouraging of this collaboration and this work. It's really powerful and has enabled us to bring this project to you and to create this opportunity to take some UK innovators into the market and to meet with those institutions in over the course of the next few weeks and months. So thank you very much, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.